Joanna Harris is a Senior Program Manager and Hard FM Ambassador at Sodexo. Joanna is well known for her voluntary work, particularly her role in updating of the CIBSE Guide M. We spoke to Joanna about her advocacy for engineering careers, her thoughts on the Building Safety Act, and the challenge of being a woman in a male-dominated industry. Please introduce yourself and tell us how you came to work in the FM sector.
So my name is Joanna Harris. I'm the Hard FM Ambassador at Sodexo for Technical Services. Sodexo is a global organisation, facilities management service provider, and there are 400,000 people employed by Sodexo delivering FM for our clients across the world. When I was at school, I was always interested in science and maths instead of art and in English. Never wanted to be stuck behind a desk. So I got an apprenticeship at Mars Confectionery doing mechanical electrical maintenance. And on that side I was doing the facility side of a factory. So not the chocolate lines, but the air conditioning, the refrigeration. So that was kind of my link into the FM industry. Moved around a bit, did National Physical Laboratories, a data centre, and then ended up as a consultant for FM with BizRear and spent 14 years telling other people how to do it.
In your role at Sodexo, you act as Hard FM Ambassador. What does this entail, and why is it a necessary role within the business?
I'm there to support the development and improvement of Hard FM. So I'm looking for best practice within the organisation, but also pulling externally and finding new ways to improve what we're doing. It's about, everybody on their sites, all our client sites, 500 client sites, they're busy focusing on the day-to-day job. So we're a central team, so we support them with all their problem solving, and sort of improving their, taking the next step for continuous improvement. So yeah, it was about, if you find a problem with one site or somebody has a struggle with something, you can find the answer and then you can share that with everybody else so that nobody else has to go through the same struggle.
What has COVID highlighted about building management?
See, I'm a bit of an advocate of business-focused maintenance. So this is making sure that the assets that you've got in your building meet the needs of the occupiers and the business itself. So if the business is not using the asset, then you'd have to do the minimum amount to keep that asset healthy and meet legislation, but nothing more than that. If it's a critical environment, so if you think about some of our customers are pharmaceutical companies, they ran all the way through COVID, as did all of our hospitals that we manage, as did the prisons, and you just have to keep on top of it all. You cannot not do maintenance just because somebody's not using it. You have to do the bare minimum, but you also need to keep an eye on what the future of that asset is.
The Building Safety Act was given royal assent this year. What are the implications of the Act for facilities managers?
So, Building Safety Act, it started off having a role called the building manager, but just before it went through Parliament, they decided to scrap that role, which was, why did they do it? Because they saw that role was a new role in industry and nobody wanted to pay for it. But actually, for me, it's always been the role of facilities manager to manage safety within buildings. So there is a role of accountable person, but that person will have to discharge those duties and they will be discharging it to the FM industry. So we'll be having to manage building safety. There are some competencies that have come through that are slightly different to what our typical facilities manager knows. So I think our FM training needs to improve to get people aware of the fire safety rules.
One of your passions is encouraging more women to consider building services engineering as a career. What are some of the challenges in this area?
I mean, FM is a great industry. You will never be out of work in FM, and it's a level playing field. So once you're in FM and in engineering, there is no different salary between men and women. There's a little bit of bias in there somewhere, but actually there was an American study that said, in construction you can earn 3 times the amount as childcare. So, if you can attract those women, they will get the better scale of pay and a better quality of life. So we could sell it in that way, but we need to get to them early enough to attract them to want to do it. I came in and I had to be resilient, as a girl in the FM industry and engineering industry. I was 3 girls out of 100 in my college course, in my apprenticeship, and you have to have something inside you to drive you to want to keep doing that. But we shouldn't make it that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. But girls can bring a great different view on the world. If you had a building that was run and managed by female engineers, it would meet the needs of all the occupiers, not necessarily just meet the minimum standard that was being set. It would be an occupier-centred activity. Yeah, and it's about getting role models out there. So who are they going to aspire to be? I read about a scientist recently who had added something like 100 or 1,000 female unknown scientists to Wikipedia. Where's the Wikipedia for FM expertise, engineering, female engineers? Name one. It's tricky. There's a great program called Class of Your Own that is teaching construction skills at schools. So you kind of adopt a school, you work with the teachers, and that is probably the future of getting people into construction and engineering.